What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Casey and Michelle, and we are discussing finally
Yes,
the
yes.
return of Rick and Michonne Grimes. The Ones Who Live has premiered. We are going to talk about it. Yay, yay, yay. First off, how are you guys feeling about the return of Rashawn? What are your first thoughts?
I'm glad they did not wait all season to get them together. I'm glad they did it in the first episode because it would have worked my nerves. I'm glad they went ahead and gave us what we needed. The payoff was worth it.
I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think it was going to happen.
Me either.
I didn't either.
Me either.
Even with the way that they started out showing them in the show, because Rick is seeing Michonne as a part of a dream, like he's dreaming that him and Michonne are meeting in the real world. That was fun, but it was also different because that was something I was not expecting. Like, she came up, she got her braids on, she dressed up. I was like, oh, he's imagining the, what ifs or what could have been or how this could have been. I liked it. It was fun. But then at the end, it was just like, I was sitting on my couch. I was like, oh my God, no. Because of the way that she was introduced in that scene, she comes in and she's killing folks without taking their mask off.
She took a helicopter down. I'm just saying.
No, she was taking their mask off. That's what I went back to look at.
Did she?
She did. Because I'm like, so I went back. If you look, the first guy, you'll see his hat go flying back. The second guy, his came off when she pushed him. I went and looked at that. Like, you just killing everybody.
And then you just decide to lift his.
And see, I was thinking they just had the red, tie on, so she was just killing them, and then he didn't because he higher up.
And look at it, he was flipping their mask off.
Okay,
he's flipping them off because you see, even before she, would potentially kill Rick, she took his mask off first.
Right. And see, that's the thing. I was like, so you just all of a sudden decided to take this one's mask off, and it just happens to be Rick.
No, I told you I watched the ending 4 times.
Okay.
She because I said the same thing. And the only thing that really for real saved him is that metal arm, because you was gonna stab your man.
Girl, okay, so we're gonna talk about this metal arm. Let's just get into the episode because I have a lot to say, and I know we don't have a lot of time to record. Some of us are going back to work for the first time tomorrow. Michelle has been on break all week. My ass decided to get COVID and was sick all week. So, but anyway, okay. So let's get started. First of all, this beginning shot. This is a scene that we see we see it twice in the episode. We see it at the beginning of this episode, and then we see it later on with a little more context. But in this first scene, there's a news report detailing the fall of a city in the background, and Rick is sitting in his apartment. He's looking out at the city, and he looks upset. He looks defeated, and he has a shard of glass, and he's about to try to kill himself. And I was like, hold up. Y'all cannot start this show off like this. This is not what we're about to do, because at first I was really afraid that they were showing us something that was going to be like at the end of the show, because as far as I know, this is a one season show. It's very limited. I don't think they have plans to do a second season. So I was like, why are y'all starting us off like this? Why are y'all making us dread things? But thankfully it wasn't that. But he he tries to kill himself, or he gets ready to slit his throat with a shard of glass, and he decides not to. He has these different flashbacks, which at the beginning of the show, they really have no context. You find out what the context is towards the end of the show. But, I was like, okay, this is how we're starting off. And then they go into the title sequence. Now, the title sequence, we always talk about the title sequences and how, with each show, they have different things that we like about them. This one, they had so many references to their past, to their shared past, but also the maps. I tried to freeze frame on this map. They had all the different little dots, because I was like, this is something we've been talking about throughout the course of the different Walking Dead shows we cover. Where is everything? So we already know from World Beyond that there are these 3 cities that had an alliance. There was Portland, there was Omaha, and then there was the Civic Republic, which nobody else knows where the location is except us as viewers, because this is something we've learned. Now we know that Omaha fell in World Beyond. Michelle, did you get up to that point?
Yeah, that was the first season. Actually, the second episode or third, right? When, but the reasoning of how it fell came out later. But yeah, definitely no.
Right. So it's like you start getting the little dots are starting to connect, and I think in this episode, we find out way more about the CRM than we have in any other show aside from The World Beyond, basically because Rick is there. But it's like, I feel like in this first episode, they answered a lot of questions that we've all had about the CRM, its functions, how is it that Rick stayed gone for so long? Literally, they told us all of that in this episode. They didn't make us wait for it. They didn't give us a little breadcrumb here, give us a little breadcrumb there. They literally tell us what we need to know right off the bat. First of all, the show starts 5 years after the bridge. So we have a little bit of a timeline to establish here.
Mm-hmm.
We know from different references that they have in the show, they have these people called consignees, and these are the people that they find outside. They bring them in, they make them go through a 6-year period of, clearing the dead and doing various things before they can be granted citizenship into the actual city of the 200,000 people. So I was like, okay, they're giving us all these little rules and they're giving us these timelines. Okay, cool.
And you had mentioned that about how we got all the information, and I hate they did the timeline. I mean, I like they did the timeline, but I was getting to a point where I don't really care. 5 years ago, 2 weeks ago, 4 months ago.
Stop lying, because we sat here on the what was it, the last episode of Daryl Dixon, and we were literally sitting here trying to figure out the timelines and how everything goes together.
Yes. But this is different. Like my title says, finally they got it right. I like how they did the style of it, how they were telling his story. Like the time didn't even come into play. Because even at the end, I like how they said now. And I'm like, well, what in the hell is now, though? I like it was 5 years, and then I'm like, well, did it take him 6 or did it take him 8? Because he kept, running.
So like I said, let's talk about Mr. Rick Grimes here.
So that's why the time, it didn't even matter. I was involved in whatever was going on with him, and then them tying it to the World Beyond with Omaha, and I was like, okay, well, I got a sense of when this is all occurred. But still don't know how it's matching up with the original timeline, but I don't care. It was great.
Yeah. So we'll talk about timeline stuff later, or maybe we won't. Let's talk about Mr. Rick Grimes.
But hold on. Somebody who I don't remember who had. It might have been Hanukkah who had the prediction. He didn't go back to his family because they would have threatened him. Was that you, Hanukkah?
Yes, because I literally said there is absolutely no way you would have kept Rick from Michonne, and especially not from Judith. Let's be honest. When it comes to relationships, okay, and I mean we get this from Rick's own mouth, that time that he and Michonne went out on that run, and she thought he was dead, and he told her, he was like, you could lose me, we could lose each other. He said, but if you lose me, you have to go on. We can do that. And she was like, no, but I think for Rick, if it had just been Michonne, if he was just away from Michonne, he might have fought to get back to her. And then once he saw that it wasn't going to happen, he might have been like, okay, you know what? let me not, because what good am I to her dead, you know?
Mhm.
But he has a child who at the time was like 4 years old. You can't tell me that there is anything on this earth that would have kept him from getting back to that child, especially after having lost Carl. You can't tell me that he wouldn't have fought tooth and nail to get back to Judith, except if they threatened. And I said it, I was like, one, the fact that they were so close to Alexandria when they picked him up, when they picked him and Jadis up, Jadis knows where Alexandria is because she was a part of the community. Like, they really had to have threatened him. And I don't think they did that the first few times, but this last time when we actually hear Okafor admit that he knew that information, he was like, yeah, a name like Michonne, ain't too much, you know, that's an unusual name.
Right.
It's not too hard to pinpoint who that is, where it is, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it nothing else would have made sense.
Well, I'm sorry, but after the third attempt, boo, you not leaving.
But you know what?
They don't even have to threaten your family.
What made him think cutting his fucking hand off was gonna get him anywhere?
Okay, so
yeah, I was mad about that.
So
I was like, don't do it.
We're gonna talk about
you gonna get caught.
We're gonna talk about this. Hold
on. That was
you
the
gonna
thing
pass
that
out
I got
and get
spoiled
caught.
with online. When I told you I saw something on YouTube, that's what I saw.
Ah.
Like, what? So I stayed off of YouTube. I'm like, because no, this can't be what is about to happen.
So you know what? When I saw him do it, it surprised me, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised because if you remember in the comics, Rick loses his arm.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So this is kind of a way to bring that part of the comics into his character arc. Okay. Now, the reason why he did it. Okay, let's talk about this. So like I said, the show starts 5 years after the bridge. Rick and a handful of other consignees, they are in a forest, and as we see in that shot that we've seen in the trailer, that wasn't actually an army that was in rows, that was like crops, and it was crops that had been grown for all of the 200,000 people. Now there was some kind of fire. I don't know what started the fire. I don't think it's important, but you have all of these walkers, which, Casey, you got to add another term to the t-shirt. They call them delts in this show.
I saw that.
Yeah. So you have these walkers that are on fire, and Rick and these other people are dispatched to take care of these walkers. Now, the interesting thing about Rick is he is tethered, and they make it a point to say on the radio, Consignee Grimes has been tethered. I said, oh, this dude done tried to escape before. Because we didn't know up until at this time whether or not this was before or after when we saw him in the main show in the finale. We didn't know what the timeline. So I was like, okay, he's tried to escape before because he's the only one that's tethered. But okay, Rick Grimes being Rick Grimes, they tell him to go do what they do. Rick comes out, he starts swinging, he has a little axe, and he's like taking down walkers. Now he's going far into the forest. So I'm just sitting here looking at him like, Rick, what the hell are you about to do? What are you about to do? And so we see he literally gets to the end of the tether, and the soldier that it's attached to kind of jerks it. Rick falls to the ground. He falls right next to a walker that's burning from the inside, which we'll talk about that stuff in a minute too, because I'm like, what the fuck kind of experiments are y'all doing that the walkers are walking around on fire from the inside out and they're not dying? But anyway, Rick puts his axe on top of the fire, and I didn't think about it when I first saw it. I had to rewind. I was like, he did that intentionally. And he told the guard, he said, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my axe. So I was like, okay, he about to do some shit. When he took his belt off and put it around his arm, I was like,
yeah,
Rick.
I was like, don't do it.
I was like, what? I thought he was gonna put it like around the metal bracelet so that it wouldn't make noise. But I'm like, he put the axe on top of the fire. I think that would have been enough if he hit his arm hard enough that he took off his arm with one blow. You could have used that same burning axe to take off the chain,
That's what I thought.
and you would have gotten away.
But it also depends on what the probably titanium.
Yeah, maybe not.
Probably would have had a
Could be.
harder
He
chance.
could have
Could be.
tried, but it wouldn't have worked. And he only had one shot, and that was his hand. And
I also
I'm
think,
like, dude, you're gonna pass out before you get anywhere. So this is
Yeah.
not gonna work.
and I also think that maybe in his mind, because we find out that that was his fourth attempt at fleeing, maybe he thought that if he was maimed, that one, they wouldn't keep him, that they would go ahead and kill, like, because his thing that he has been saying all throughout this first episode is, I'm gonna get home, or I'm gonna get or I'm gonna die trying. There's no in between. So maybe he was like, okay, if I can't get away, I'm just gonna die, or they're gonna kill me, and either way it goes, I'm not gonna care. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what it was. But when I saw him put that belt around his arm and I saw him prepping, I was literally sitting there like this. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can watch this.
Well,
Because it's one thing to do it to somebody else.
He was gonna die trying, so he was gonna try anything he possibly could to get away. And all I can think of is everybody loses a piece of them.
So remember, we had this conversation about, I think we were talking about the Daryl Dixon show, the first episode, when Daryl got burned by the burners. And I was like, I was trying to figure out if Daryl was going to lose an arm, because The Walking Dead is very good about folks losing their arms. Like, literally somebody has lost an arm in every single show.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like,
They have. And guess what? In Daryl Dixon, someone did. But then he ended up dying, though. The ex-boyfriend, he did lose an arm.
I think he lost more than an arm, though. You know, but yeah, like, literally, The Walking Dead, we had several people lose their arm there. Fear the Walking Dead, we've had somebody lose their arm. The Walking Dead World Beyond, someone lost their arm. I don't know if you got to that part, Michelle.
I did a recap.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yes,
So
the boy lost his arm. That's what I'm saying. Everybody loses pieces
Everybody
themselves.
loses an arm. So I wasn't shocked. And like I said, I figured that was a good way for them to kind of pull that part of Rick's storyline into the show. But I was kind of like, no, Rick, how? I was like, what sense does that make? Like, first of all, you got a bleeding stump. You got people around looking for you, and you have burning walkers walking around. I was like, you gonna pass out. Now I know Rick Grimes is strong, but come on now.
I thought that too. And then I was like, wait a second. And then I had someone watch it with me, the
person that you live with, to whom you related by marriage.
And he's like, oh, he has to cauterize the root womb. And I'm like, no, don't do it, because you don't know if it's gonna get infected. But,
girl, look, as hot as that thing was burning, it killed all the germs.
I was like, I don't know.
It's better than Neosporin, Michelle.
He did it. He was fine. I was concerned, but that's all right.
But I will say this. Rick Grimes, you have the kind of strength I don't know anybody else would have. Because not only did he cut his own arm off in one stroke.
Ooh.
He couldn't even do that for like Herschel. He couldn't do that.
Yeah, he did double strike Herschel, didn't he?
I think he had to hit Herschel like 3 times.
Oh,
but that was a leg.
But it was a leg. I get it.
He got right.
He got like right here, like
I think about this much.
But yeah,
because
it was right at the wrist, so it's not much there.
Yeah, it's cartilage basically.
Yeah.
No, he cut through bone. That was not cartilage. Would have been right here. He's up here. No, that's bone.
No,
that's bone.
It's a joint.
But no, he didn't cut at the hand. He didn't cut right there at the wrist.
Yeah,
he cut a little bit above.
I thought he cut like at the wrist, because the thing was like right.
It was like, because the thing was
he
like
cut
right
underneath.
here.
He cut right like the joint of
his
your
arm
wrist.
looked a little short for it to be just the wrist. And I'm trying to say that in the most respectful way, but I don't know any other way to say it. It just looks a little bit
close to his forearm.
Yeah,
but see, it's really small though. The stump is small. That's why I say it's closer to his wrist, because it's small. It's small and round.
But Rick, you ain't have to do that. You
No,
could
he
just
didn't.
anyway. So he is tased. He does pass out from all of this, and this is the first time we see his Michonne dream.
Mhm.
So
And
I
I
have
she's so
was,
comments.
beautiful.
It's
Y'all know I was
beautiful,
like,
but I have comments.
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I know Casey's probably paused on the
yep.
TV right here, just
I
like,
was like,
ah.
Yeah,
so
and
beautiful.
she looked beautiful in her purple. I was thinking
Yep.
Black Panther.
Okay.
Now she
The
was
Black
looking
Panther
good in
colors.
these dream sequences, but you
Yes.
said you had thoughts, Michelle. What are your
Well,
thoughts?
my thoughts was he was a smooth cat, right? However, if you go back to season 1, when he's talking to Shane, he was saying how Lori be like, "You don't say much. You don't really talk." I'm like, boy, in his own dreams, he is like
He
The
is trying to
man.
get Michonne. Do you hear me?
So it was, I was like, okay, smooth talker, but that's not how you was in the beginning of this show, though. I'm just
But you
saying.
gotta keep in mind, first of all, it was a dream.
I
Second
know,
of all,
It's Michonne.
it's Michelle.
It's Michonne.
but
I
that
mean,
was my first thought. Was like, oh, Lori complained that you wasn't a talker, but you a talker, dude, especially in your own dreams.
but also him and Lori had been married about 12 years at that point, so he probably wasn't.
At that point, it wasn't much to say to her anyway. So we're not even gonna
Especially
go
if
there.
she was the type of wife that he was kind of intimating at that time, like she was always nagging. She
Nagging.
accused him of not caring about them
Mm-hmm.
in front of Carl. So
Yeah. So in this love story, we're not gonna bring up no exes.
because Lori, she served her purpose and whatever, but this is the true love story. So we're gonna talk about that. But yeah, so we see him with this little dream where he meets Michonne. She's having lunch, and from what we can tell, it doesn't look like this is a devastated world. I mean, it could have been the world inside the city, but again, at this point, Rick wasn't allowed into the city, so he doesn't even know what it looks like, So,
and I don't think it was because, like, in one of the sequences, was a car driving in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it's normal time.
Okay,
yeah,
in his mind, like, oh, if we had met under different circumstances and not with her walking up to a prison with a gunshot and baby formula, all this other stuff. So yeah, but I like the sequences where we saw him dreaming, because you also see that kind of connection, because it's like he sees Michonne in a different way, but there's also remnants of the Michonne that he knew. Like, even with the flirting, he was like, what was it? He was talking about getting lost or, being able to find his way. She's like, you got this. I believe in you. I was like, oh yeah, that's that Michonne trying to, the Michonne that he knows trying to trickle in, saying, hey, you can do this, whatever it is that he has been trying to do, which is trying to escape to get, back home to her. But okay, so one of the things that's mentioned is that the attempt where we saw him being picked up near the boat, that was his third attempt at trying to escape. The one where he cut his arm off was the fourth. They also talk about how if it had been anybody else, they would have been dead.
Yeah.
But this Okafor, this Lieutenant Colonel Okafor, apparently, I don't know what it is that he sees in Rick, or at least from his perspective, aside from Rick is strong. Rick is the type of person who could be a leader that people will follow. Like, for him to see this in Rick, even though Rick has been very belligerent, very silent, during this whole time that he's been there, I was like, okay, I kind of sort of don't want to like Okafor at the beginning of the episode, but at the same time, you kind of have to, because he's the reason Rick is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the one that keeps going to bat for Rick and trying to convince Rick of these things that he could do. And I had this brief conversation with Michelle right before we started recording. And I said, we're only one episode in. And I like the fact that they have introduced these characters in such a way that I actually care about them. And it's so strange coming off of, let's say, Dead City, where they introduced those characters, and I was just like, we were just all kind of like, I mean, we got almost no background story, well, except for the Croat, but we're supposed to know about the Croat because he was the main antagonist for the show. But like the tribes people, we didn't learn anything about them.
Mm-mm.
We barely learned anything about, what's her name, the Doma. So the fact that they bring these characters into the show and we only get glimpses of them, I was like, I really care about these characters. Even if I don't like them, I kind of want to know more about them. You get that with Okafor. You get that with Thorn. I'm loving Thorn. Because Thorn is very much like, if you talk about in the Walking Dead world, found family, like Thorn in a sense reminds me a lot of Michonne. Not necessarily in the romantic type way when it comes to Rick, but she is also a person who sees through Rick's bullshit, and she is very direct with him. She's very frank with him, but she also, you can tell she cares. And she's like, look, I'm actually trying to help you out, and it's because she also lost the person that she loved. We find out from her backstory, she was from South Africa. And she said that she was part of the Navy. Did she say the Navy? She was part of the South African Navy, I think. And she said she used to play poker on the submarines. She was very good at it. She decided to try her luck in Las Vegas because, of course, anybody who gambles, they try their luck in Las Vegas. She said, I didn't even get to play a hand before the lights went out. I was like, can you imagine? You go to Las Vegas, you think you're about to gamble, you're about to win you some money, and instead you are smack dab at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. And she said she was trying to get home, and Okafor found her in the middle of the ocean. She tried to kill him. She shot at him, grazed him, but she tells Rick that it was because she left someone behind. She was trying to get back to them. So she understands what he's doing, but she's like, dude, what you're doing is not working. Stop. Just give it up. And then, of course, she's probably thinking, too, it's been however many years. She's probably dead by now. Rick was like, she ain't dead. Rick was about to tear her head off.
Y'all don't know. Dead. He should have told her, I got a bad bitch.
Right.
She ain't dead.
Right.
Oh my gosh, but wait. All I was thinking though was, wait until you find out you have another child.
Girl. That part.
I kept thinking that the whole episode.
I can't do that right now.
I really thought they may say something to him, like they had his, had his information in a file. And I'm like, don't tell him that, because he was gonna try to escape again.
I'm so glad they did not.
You know that's gonna be the first thing she tell him, right?
Man,
you know that's gonna be the first conversation.
He is Rick Jr.
I don't know.
Judith is alive. Second, we got a son.
No, I think the first conversation is gonna be, motherfucker, where the fuck you been? And then the second conversation will be Judith is alive. And then the third conversation is, oh, by the way. Because I wonder, we got the conversation when they kind of decided that they would try to have another child. But we don't even know if at that point, if they both knew that she was pregnant or not. Or did she find out she was pregnant after everything that happened?
It would have to be after, because if he knew he had a kid, it'd be 3 faces on that phone instead of just...
Yes, it would be. He would have just drew a face, not really knowing what the baby would look like.
Yeah.
Or he would have drew like a baby in her arms or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't know.
He didn't know.
Okay. I'll take that explanation. Yeah.
He didn't know.
Yep.
Because that would be super extra reason to escape. I got a baby I ain't never seen.
Yeah, I would like to meet him before he's 20.
Yeah. And knowing who Michonne is, number one, he know Michonne ain't dead. She too much of a badass to fall into anything that's just going to accidentally get her killed. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
She's too cautious. She's too everything. And then throw Mama Bear on top of that? Oh, hell no. She take care of Judith, with her life. Like he ain't even 20 years in the apocalypse, Michonne's still gonna be alive. You know what I'm saying? She gonna be one of them ones who's like, no, I'm not just gonna go out like that. It would take a nuclear bomb to stop Michonne, as they was doing in the beginning. That would be literally the only thing to stop her.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she's gonna see you coming. You can't just kill her. You know what I'm saying? You can't just kill her. I don't see that.
But
and she is too much of a warrior for them to give her any other kind of death. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because
If they gave her a dumbass death, like, oh, she accidentally got, something stupid as fuck, we all would be like,
you mean like they gave Carl?
Yeah.
I mean, what other way could Carl have died?
Carl shouldn't have died to begin with, not in that way.
But he had to for the actor. But what other way would it have been but to help someone
he was mad
else?
at his damn daddy.
Yeah, it was from helping someone. That's the way for Carl to go.
I guess.
Not shooting, and not someone shooting at him or cutting his head off because there's a rival gang.
He
like
did
humanity.
He did it on his own terms.
Yeah, he did. He died on his own terms. So, like, I like that for Carl. He's not a battle. I mean, he knows how to do war, but he should go out peacefully.
I guess.
Into that good night.
I guess. But yeah. So
peacefully
anyway,
into that night.
Yeah.
I just still feel some kind of way about it. But okay. We'll let it go, because that's a conversation that I will always be pissed off about. But anyway, so like I said, this Thorn character, I really do like her, because the first time we really see her interact with Rick is after he, they show us a little bit of him at the walls with the little sticks. I can't remember what they call them, trying to kill some of the walkers. And this is where Rick's narration starts, and it's basically him writing in these journals that he's writing to Michonne, kind of telling her what his life is like. And he was like, I thought that this was something that I would do once we were back together. It'd be a story I'd tell you on the porch after, in the evenings, whatever. But he starts narrating his story to her and kind of explaining about things. So he talks about the CRM. He talks about how there's a city within a city. So it's like what we see on the promos and everything, which is the skyline of Philadelphia. That's a facade. And that's the facade that the CRM wants everybody else to see who may happen to come into proximity. Oh, that's a ruined city. No one is there. But on the inside of that city, you have the 200,000 inhabitants, the people who live there and who are protected. And like I said, those are the people who were consignees and they have earned their quote unquote citizenship. So they're part of the city. And Rick as a consignee and all the other peoples as consignees, their jobs are to do, he said they live on the outskirts of the city. They have to do like menial jobs, and they have to do these jobs for 6 years in order to earn a place in inside the city. So Rick is doing this particular this job where he's killing the walkers. And again, some of these walkers look really weird. They look very infected. They look like I don't know, some of them look like they've gone through fire and survived and are still walking, like the one that kind of knocked Rick over. But at this point, you see Rick has been fitted with like this, or actually, no, not yet. But he has his, his arm, his stump, and he's only able to kill them still effectively, but it causes a little bit of problems. He's not used to dealing with being with just one hand. So he's not, I don't want to say as effective, because it's obvious he is, because when he gets pissed off in this scene, you see him killing like back to back to back, to the point where the other people are behind him cheering him on, which I thought was really weird. I was like, okay. But anyway, So this is where we meet Okafor. This is where he sits down and he starts telling Rick, he was like, look, dude, I'm trying to help you out here. You need to become a part of this. You need to stop trying to escape. What was it that he said? Bet you wish you had your other hand. And I was like, you know what? Rick will still kick your ass with that one hand. But he goes through the whole spiel of, Rick needing to be a part of the CRM. He's like, I left a uniform in your apartment. It's time for you to like step up and become a part of this. And Rick is telling Michonne in the letters how he had a plan. He was trying to get back to her. He was like, look, I was a consignee. I was doing what I needed to do, but I was never going to go inside those walls. My only point, my only goal was to get back to you. And we see that he tried to escape 4 times. Now, I don't know what he did the first time and the second time, but because of the third time and because we recognize that third time, I had to go and look some stuff up. So Okafor mentioned later on in the episode, when I found you on I went back to Rat Island and I found your message in a bottle, because remember, he wrote a message in a bottle, threw it in the water before they picked him up. And apparently Okafor is the person that the helicopter, whatever was talking to him about. He was like, remember what he said to you, there is no escape for the living. That was something that Okafor said, I think, a couple of times in this episode. But Rat Island, it is outside of New York City, which is 112 miles away from downtown Philadelphia. So Rick was getting some steps in, trying to get away from them. And I mean, he got far enough. Of course, they found
Rat Island was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me feel like it could have been one of those times when they went out, because they did take them far out sometimes to do things.
Yeah, and we saw that on the ship log that Michonne had, but just the fact that he got that far, to almost escape. I mean, if they didn't have the helicopters, he would have been fine. He would have been fine. But yeah, I was just like, okay. So he got up to New York City. All he had to do was go over just a little bit.
And he found Rick, Maggie, and Negan.
No, not yet. Not at this point.
We don't know that because we don't know what time we in.
Well, no, not when he escapes. When he escapes, it shouldn't be at the same time.
Oh yeah,
when he tried to escape, yeah. So everybody was still in the same place.
Yeah. But yeah. So Okafor, let's talk about him for a little bit.
Why they always got to kill a black man first?
Okay, so I was a bit disappointed in his death.
In the last 1 full episode.
However, his death was awesome.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That was awesome. That whole scene was awesome. I knew something was about to happen to the helicopter, but I could not possibly even just dream of.
He got a Curtis death.
But no, real talk,
he
did. But real talk, I thought it was the CRM shooting him down because of their conversation. Like that was my first thought. Okay. They heard the conversation and was like, "Oh, y'all trying to bullshit." That was my very first thought until I saw Michonne's sword.
I'm still kind of sort of like,
and what she was using to get them to get down, like she was shooting something too.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. So I do have questions about that whole thing because one, that's some powerful weapons that you have that can shoot down a helicopter. You know what I'm saying? And we thought this with Fear the Walking Dead when that whole thing happened with Curtis and Alicia in the helicopter and, talking, his people shot it down. It's like, we don't know anything about Michonne yet in this show or the group that she's with. We don't know anything about weapons, anything. We haven't seen Michonne's her story up until now. But the fact that Major General Bill asked Rick earlier in the episode whether or not Okafor was up to something, and this is after we find out that Okafor kept Rick and Thorne alive and kept fighting for them to be a part of the CRM because he wanted their help to change the CRM. So obviously, Okafor is like, I'm loyal to them, but only to a point. There are things that need to change, and I need help changing them. We'll go back to his story in a minute, but going back to this part, after Major General Bill asked about whether or not he was doing, whether he was doing anything that he needed to know about, I started getting suspicious about it because I was like, why would you just all of a sudden ask that question? There has to be something going on that we don't see.
Well, yeah,
And
I
I'm
don't think
wondering if Thorne is running her mouth.
Well, I think it's more than that. Because one, you have to look at his backstory. And in his backstory, he talks about how he made a decision and he went against the grain. So that's one thing that someone's always going to keep in their mind. Like, will this person ever flip on us? And then second of all, he's going hard. He's going hard for Rick and Thorne. He's going hard for them. So why is he going so hard for them? So I'm like, that's kind of interesting.
Well, rule breakers.
All these years, he's never really talked about anybody else. But then these two, he really wants us to place them in these situations.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can read Rick. So he feels like, oh, okay, let me just ask Rick.
Right. And then after so long of Rick saying, no, I ain't joining, all of a sudden you join.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to see. And then, motherfucker, you've been trying to escape 4 other times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna think something that I'm gonna be suspicious. So I'm going to pay attention because that's kind of out of the box for everyone at this point.
Yeah.
So I have to see. So that's what I'm gonna call him Locke. That's all I'm gonna remember him from Lost is Locke. But that's what Locke was trying to get out.
So y'all know whenever she says Locke, she's talking about Major General Bill.
Yes.
Okay. But okay, so you mentioned the thing about him, kind of changing sides. We do know that he has changed sides before when we find out a little bit about his backstory. And okay, I will say this, his backstory I was not expecting.
Me neither.
Because it actually ties him to both the main show and Fear the Walking Dead.
It does.
Because Rick, when he's having his conversation with Major General Bill, they're talking about Philadelphia and what happened and how the city looks ruined and how it was supposed to be destroyed, but it wasn't. And that's when Rick finds out that Okafor was actually one of the people that, was supposed to help destroy the place, but instead he focused his attention on 4,000 Marines that were in a nearby field, and he, kind of turned traitor and joined the CRM. Okay, so later on in the episode, we find out about all of this stuff because Okafor is still trying to drive home. This is after Rick finds out that Okafor knows some things about him. And this is after Rick tries yet another escape attempt, one that may actually work, except for the fact that some walkers he was trying that were trying to get to him, I guess. He kills the walkers, and when he kills these 2 walkers, there's a little girl there.
Girl.
Shut up. Casey, it wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. We get her little backstory, her sad backstory later on. It wasn't her fault. She literally was pulling a whisperer without knowing she was pulling a whisperer.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
The little girl was with her parents. They used to live in a museum. Somehow the dad got in, all the adults, everybody who was there with her, they died, except for her. She hid in a statue that had spikes on it. And the people that she knew, they tore themselves apart trying to get to her. And as they tore themselves apart, she got sprinkled with blood. She got sprinkled with guts and organs. She decided 2 days later to come out and just go ahead and die. But the smell, we know this from the main show. The smell disguised her. So she walked around with these dead people that she used to know and following the walkers of her mother and father until Rick killed them when he tried to escape. Now, he begs Thorne at this point. He was like, look, just let me go. Help me. You told me to help. You told me to ask you for help. I'm asking you. She was like, I am helping you. She said, because if you escape, they're going to send him to find you. And he's going to find the people that you're running to. He knows things about you. And Rick is like, what? Which I don't understand why Rick wouldn't think that somebody would know something about him, because even though we don't see Jadis yet in the show, we know she's going to pop up in the show. And we know from the world beyond that she has a pretty high station in the Civic Republic military. You don't get that kind of high without giving some stuff up. Right. So chances are she's already given them information about, maybe not Alexandria, maybe she gave it about Hilltop, since at the time that she was there, Hilltop had already pretty much fallen, I think, or the kingdom had, one of them had, but maybe she gave them some information about those little communities, like, oh, this is not anything to threaten you. This is maybe 100 people. I mean, what is 100 people when you're talking about 200,000? Nothing. Right. And they talk about the other cities on the show. These 3 major cities, they really think that Omaha and Portland, aside from them, are the only cities left in the whole country. They say it on the news report when they report that Omaha has fallen.
Right, because of,
but I thought they
he
knew
said
about
that,
the
though.
Commonwealth.
No, I think they do. Like he said, in there's secrets within secrets within secrets. Like, some people know all the secrets. That's probably a small little group. Mm-hmm. And then the next only know what they need to know, and then another group only know what it needs to know. So Rick is
and the other group don't know nothing.
Nothing.
He's
so
like the people,
right? So
the people inside the city. What did he say? Some of us know like 96%, and then the other don't know 100% of what's going on. He talks about, like you said, these factions. So yeah, but Okafor,
and he may think that he doesn't know anything because of his station.
I don't know, but he's one of the ones that's got the red stripes. So apparently that's like a cut above what Rick is. But going back to Okafor real quick. So we find out that when he turned traitor and sided with the CRM, he made his own personal sacrifice, because his wife was one of the Marines that was down there that he ended up killing. And this was a sacrifice that she made on her own, because, as he says, he was the one that bombed Atlanta. He was the one that bombed LA. He was supposed to bomb Philadelphia. His wife was on like the cleanup team. So anybody that didn't get killed by the bombs, they were part of the teams that had to go in and kill them. And she didn't want to do that anymore. She felt like there had to be a different way. So she sacrificed, she was like, she sacrificed her life along with the other 4,000 Marines to save 200,000 people. Right. So we see, he kind of understands what Rick is going through. But the way he was saying it, he was like, yeah, I went and got your little message in a bottle off Red Island. And I mean, even quoted the first line that was better.
Not my little message.
quoted the first line, her name on the back. When he said there's not that many people, he said, what did he say? Michonne is an unusual name. I thought he was about to tell me they were related or something. I really thought that was about to happen. But he was like, no, that's not such an unusual name. And given the area where we picked you up, it's not that, he basically was like, it's not that hard to find. So right. I know that's your woman, and I know you got a daughter. When he said daughter, I was like, Rick, don't do
it.
don't rip his head off. But he basically was like, look, you are my charge. If you had escaped again, they would have made me go find you, and then I would have had to eliminate you, because what was it that Rick said at the beginning? The big secret, the one secret that is like consistent throughout the Civic Republic and the Civic Republic Military, no one can know where they are located, so no one is ever allowed to leave, which is why Rick should be dead 4 times over, because he's tried to escape.
Mm-hmm.
But if he had escaped, if he had made it all the way back to Alexandria, Okafor basically told him, I would have had to kill you, and I would have had to kill anybody you could have told that information to. So basically, Alexandria would have been wiped out.
Right.
And he's still trying to tell Rick, look, you've already made a decision to be a part of this, because Rick put on the uniform. He is a Civic Republic military now. Mm-hmm. He was like, look, you can help me save the world. Rick is like, I don't care about these people. I just care about getting back home. He was like, but you do. You have to. And I understand what he's saying, because he's like, look, if you help us protect these people, you also protect your people. But if you keep trying to go back to your people, they're all dead and you're dead. And for what?
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I guess this is, and then he tells Rick again, he's like, okay, yeah, I know you tried to escape. I know you just came in here with the intention of slitting my throat, but I'm going to put you on a project with Thorn, and we're going to convert this college, and we're going to make it, like a headquarters for the first liners. He's still telling Rick, I'm giving you a way to get power. Rick is like, I don't want power. And Okafor is like, but you've already got it. Now, this is the thing I'm looking at. Rick, you need to look at this for what it can be. If you get your power up to a certain level, let you go back to your family. Now, I understand he probably realizes this could take years. Like you said, RJ gonna be 20 if he tries to follow this, but at least they're safe. And you never know. They might be like, oh, okay, well, you got family. Go get your family, bring them here. Now, once they get there, that's going to be a different situation, because
they're going to take it down like they take everything else down.
That too. But I was going to say, because I think even though Michonne would want a safe place for her kids to live and be just like she did when they first decided to go to Alexandria, I don't think she wants to be anybody's prisoner.
Hell no.
And
won't be.
Right. And that's another reason why I feel like Rick is also trying so hard to escape, because what is it that he tells, I think it was Okafor, and then he also, like, I'm trying to think, did he say it to Bill? No, he said it to Okafor. But he was like, you think I went through all I went through, did the things I did, and he's pointing at his arm for someone to control me, to tell me what I can do? Rick is like, no, I've been through that before, where everything I did was for somebody else. I'm not doing it again.
Right.
He was like, y'all don't get to decide for the whole world. And that's when he says the line, my wife is my choice. My daughter, my life, that's my choice. Rick is like, hold up. I'm going to get back to my family. But by the end of this conversation with Okafor, especially once he finds out that Okafor sacrificed his own wife, for this world, I think at that point Rick was just like, there's nothing else I can do. And if they know where my family is, I just gotta. I feel like in a way he gave in, but at the same time I think he didn't, because
I don't think he gave in, but I like what Okafor said, where they're still with you and you will still fight for them. So keep in mind, you're not losing here. It's just, this is just a different route.
Right.
And I think he's trying to tell them that, like, dude, if we continue on the path that we want to continue on, there's a possibility you can go find your family and bring them here.
I feel like
I feel like he's trying to hint at them, like, come on, go with the plan. Because if you go with the plan and you make changes, then we will then open this up to everybody.
Right. Because Okafor, that's his thing with recruiting Rick. He was like, the CRM has to change. And he makes that point when he's talking to Rick and Thorn, because Thorn at that point, she was like, why does it need to change? She was like, people are safe. People are healthy. Like, we got everything going on here. Why does it need to change? And Rick is like, because the people aren't free to leave. That's not any kind of freedom.
Right. And then when
Okafor says, he was like, none of us are free.
And then when he talks about the A and the B, which I absolutely love.
Finally.
They're killing lions and keeping sheep.
Right.
Like, we finally got what is an A, what is a B.
Mm-hmm.
And those two are A's. Right.
Have strength and will die for what they believe in. They are leaders.
They're leaders.
He said B's are everyday people just trying to survive. B's get in. A's are sent away and killed, except for Rick and Thorne, and that's because he fought for them.
Yeah. And then they
remember, because Jada said she had a B.
Yeah.
So she classified him as a B.
As a B. And she knew he was an A.
She knew he was an A.
Right. But see, I think that's the thing. Because I think before then, if it would have gotten her into the CRM, she probably would have given him up as an A. Like, I think the A's, if I'm not mistaken, in World Beyond, the A's are some of the ones that they were testing on, right? That they were experimenting on, or was it the
B? Yeah. No, it's A's they're experimenting on. Yeah. So that's why I said we finally know why you're labeled the A.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jadis was trying to actually save him.
Yeah.
I think she felt bad, so she did say B when she really should have said A.
Yeah, right. Because she even
said, I think Okafor sees that he's an A. Right. And I think he sees in those two that, even though they were labeled B's, these people are A's.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, too, with the A's, they can be helpful if you can sway them to your call.
No. You can't keep an A. No, because A's are not going to go by with this.
They're not going
to you come in, you don't leave. They're not going to go with the plan.
Look.
Okay? They do not go with the plan. It's wrong for what they're doing because they shouldn't be killing people off like that. Right. But they knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. They wanted no one to change their mind or try to cause a revolution. No, you keep with B's. B's just want to be fed. They just want to be kept alive.
Esteban.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's all he wanted to do. He just want air condition.
That's
air condition.
Esteban.
And he didn't want no swamp butt.
Yeah, he didn't want no. Yeah, he want air condition. See, those you can trust. They're not going to cause any problems. They're not going to have a group within the city that start blowing stuff up to make changes.
Okay, right. But since we're talking about that, let's stick a pin in that, because I do want to talk about this scene where Rick goes to see Esteban in the city. Did you notice the people walking around with the picket signs that says what did it say? CRM transparency now?
Yeah, but they ain't doing nothing. They're no threat. They're not like true. They're not like true A's.
No, but what I'm wondering is, could that have been something similar that was going on in Omaha, and that's why they decided to eliminate Omaha?
I don't know. That's
because we never really find out for sure. We know that there were some things going on as far as experimentation in Omaha,
right?
That kind of got out of control. Now, out of control enough that you got to kill a whole city of 90,000 people. I don't know, but that 90,000 people, if they start seeing that something is not right and they decide to start revolting, that could become a problem. That could also be the reason why they ended up destroying the campus colony, because remember, Iris was all behind this treaty. And then when she gets up on Remembrance Day, and she does the speech, she literally turns to Elizabeth and says, "I don't trust you. You have to work to gain my trust, because you haven't given us anything. You won't tell us where you are, and all this other stuff." And then notice, not a few days later, the whole campus colony is destroyed. So it's just like, Esteban is a B, definitely. But also, he didn't really hesitate that much to give Rick the information he needed. He was like, I'm not going to tell you this,
because
but if
he
I
grew to
would.
see Rick as a friend. And Esteban, at the end of the day, is the one who gave Rick the idea. Talking about, why don't you just join the damn military and then use that as your damn way to escape? Because once you in there, you know, at that point, once you've gained yourself in the ranks, anybody looking at you like that, not the way they would at you as a consignee.
Yeah.
So hell, Esteban, the one who gave him the goddamn idea. Why would, and Esteban knows Rick is only there to escape. So why wouldn't he help his friend?
Yeah.
I would never tell you this is the code. I would never tell you this leads south. I would never tell you.
I think that was brave of him because you don't know who's listening.
But that's his friend.
I know. Yeah. I know.
And he's inside now. It's different.
And let me tell you something. He already
with his girl.
Whether he helped him or not, Rick was going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
He know that much about Rick and his determination and his I'm not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
That he gonna do it anyway. Either I'm gonna help you and you try to help you get to your people, or it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
And you will see signs inside with bees because sometimes they gotta feel like they're leading something. And the CRM is not really concerned about this little group. I mean, literally they're in the park and how long did they have the picket signs up? They put it down and start talking.
Right.
Like, come on, have some juice. Like, really get in there.
They might be talking about what they're gonna do, but I just thought it was interesting to see that there.
They also still need to give the illusion of freedom.
Yes, that's what. Yeah, that's really what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So you give those bees that so they feel liberated, but knowing they're not gonna go past a certain point.
Yeah.
Like when people start getting arrested and they start attempting to put them outside as outside the walls, they gonna stop.
Yeah.
But the true age is gonna start blowing stuff up and underground, and you know how it goes. Think of Rick and his crew. Just think Rick, Daryl, Maggie,
Carol,
all of them get inside.
Baby, you see what they did to the Commonwealth?
Yeah.
And it was just 5 of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Rick using the F word. I've heard that he will actually be dropping several F-bombs this season.
I missed it.
Yeah, when he was talking about, he was like your A's and your fucking B's. He was talking to Uncle Cor.
No, he should say when he see Michonne, what the fuck?
Right. That's what I was like, did he say that?
I think he was just speechless. But hold on. Before we get, because I know we want to talk about that actual meeting. Let's revisit the scene that was at the beginning of the episode. So after Rick fails to escape because Thorne has told him about, Okafor knowing information about him and him finding out from Okafor all this other stuff. He's in his apartment and, he's having a drink and Thorne comes in. She was like, you have to see this on the TV. And it's the news, the Civic Republic news broadcast about the fall of Omaha. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. So the way that the newscaster said it is that I guess there was supposed to be some type of meeting to discuss the alliance. And I think Portland was there, but maybe Omaha wasn't. Like there was something that tipped them off that something wasn't right at Omaha, supposedly. So Major General Bill sent a team to check it out. That's when they found out city of Omaha was destroyed. They said that there were 2 points on the perimeter that had been breached by the dead. And then also on the inside, they said that there was one building where hundreds of people were located and the building collapsed. So I was sitting here trying to remember because I didn't get a chance to go. I know I didn't get a chance to go back and rewatch season 2 of The World Beyond, but I was trying to remember. I was like, did Elizabeth say that Major General Bill told them to do that? Or was that something that she did separately? Because I can't remember at this point.
Well, from watching the first few episodes of I got through pretty much all of season 1 and then watching the recap. So there was one scene. What was her name again?
Elizabeth
and her, I don't know, a soldier next to her, like all of the people on the university like was just dead.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the wall was down. And then later they talked about they were going to get rid of Omaha, but the dad's girlfriend, I forgot her name, she had that bomb that they wanted to use. So they were like, "Ooh, we got a plan. Let's do 2 for 1. We're going to kill everyone in Omaha, and we're going to try to use this gas to see if people really reanimate and all that stuff."
Okay.
So they used the gas on those people.
Okay.
But they were going to get rid of those people, but I don't know who
ordered
said to do it or why to do it.
Okay. Because I was trying to remember.
But it was a lot of people, though. That was, yeah.
Yeah, because I think
horrible.
the sign outside said like 90-something thousand people, almost 100,000 people. So yeah, I was just trying to remember if that was something that he ordered, or if maybe Elizabeth was because you know how it is sometimes with these military people, like, yes, you're following orders, but you also have your own agenda, kind of like Lance and the Commonwealth. Like, he was Pamela's right-hand guy, but he also had stuff going on the side, which again, you know, we still wonder whether or not that was CRM related or not, but that's right now, that's neither here nor there.
We don't know what Elizabeth motives was in that situation.
Right.
But Thorne kind of feels like, hey, I don't think this don't sound right either.
It doesn't, but her thing was, so there's 3 cities in the alliance. There's Portland, there's Omaha, and then there's the CRM. And you saw in the intro when it has the map, it has you know, you can see where Portland is, you can see where Omaha is, and then on a separate map you see like those 2 cities in the background, and then you see the CRM circle. So again, they mention here that no one else knows where the CRM is located. Rick mentions this in his little letter to Michonne, and even he doesn't say where it is in his letter to her or his narration. So it's kind of like Thorne, when she comes in, she was like, Omaha let everyone know where they were, and now they are no more. So it's like the CRM is trying to force this whole secrecy thing, and it's like, if you're out there in the open, if people know where to find you, we're going to destroy you, because that goes against what we've done. You know what I'm saying? And we already know from the end of World Beyond, they were headed to Portland next. So we already know this. They're headed to Portland. They're going to try to destroy Portland. And, you know, our kids were headed to Portland with some other people to try to warn them ahead of the CRM. So that just kind of makes me wonder, like, just because y'all knew these 2 cities existed, are there other cities that are doing the same thing like y'all are doing? Like, are there other cities out there existing that y'all don't know about?
Yeah, I believe that. I mean,
that's that on that scope, let me say, because again, Commonwealth was what, 50,000 people? That's
still a lot of people.
It is.
That's still a lot of people.
But you would think, because if you're talking about going from Philadelphia to Omaha or Philadelphia to Portland, you have to kind of sort of go past where the Commonwealth is. And you would think with the CRM, especially with their helicopters, which I have a comment about that as well, but you would think with all the reconnaissance that they do, they had to have found the Commonwealth. They had to have seen that. And again, that kind of takes me back to, did Lance have something worked out with them to where they weren't bothered by the CRM? And if that's the case, now that Lance is dead and Pamela has fallen, is that going to be a problem for them in the future? Especially since we know, you know, Ezekiel and Mercer, they're not going to keep people out just to keep people out. So the Commonwealth is going to get bigger. And it's probably going to expand.
Right.
But again,
but we don't know, because it could just be another group that Commonwealth was working with that's similar to Commonwealth.
Right.
And they were going to make a connection with the train. So I don't know.
But okay, so here's the other thing. So we see a lot about the helicopters in this episode. Like Rick is even, once he joins the CRM, he even is trained to fly one of these things. So he's flying the helicopters. You see the helicopters around. And he also says something to Okafor. He was like, you think I don't see the bombers leaving and not come back? Like, where are they going? You think I don't see the soldiers with the red stripes on their uniforms? He makes a mention of those. And I was like, so the soldiers with the red stripes, I guess that's that, whatever, that 4% that knows everything else that's going on, or that's doing the stuff that even the regular CRM don't know. What are they doing? And I feel like Okafor was probably about to bring Rick into that before what happens at the end happens. Because Rick is at that point, he tells him about something that happens to him when he's younger. And this is the first time I think we've ever heard Rick talk about his past in this sense, or even in this much detail. He talks about when he was about, what did he say, 9? He said that he, middle of the night, he couldn't sleep. He was thirsty. He decided to go to the kitchen to get some water. And there was an orange glow coming from the kitchen. And he said, and then in walks his father. His father looks like a monster because the fields were on fire and his dad had come back into the house to save him. So father saves him. Father recovers, he does have scarring or whatever. But he said that years later, his mom, after his dad died, his mom told him that his dad was the one who actually started the fire because they were about to lose the farm. So he set the fire thinking that would help everything. And what happened was, what did he say? They got a new barn, they got a new house. And the next season, the harvest was better than it had ever been. So his father did save them, but he did it in a dishonest way. And Rick was like, that kind of changed the way I looked at things. But he was telling Okafor, he was saying all of that to say, look, I get it. I can help change the world. It may not be in the way that I want to do it, but the end result. And then Okafor is like, okay, yeah, I finally got him. He's looking kind of, I think we're going to do great things. And then all of a sudden, and he gets like, there is something stuck right in his cheek. And I was like, what? And then we hear missiles and stuff just hitting the helicopter. And I was like, so Rick Grimes is going to die and y'all aren't going to tell us what happened. Of course, I knew he wasn't going to die. But still, it was like, Rick survived so much stuff.
Swear to God.
This man done survived the rebar going through his body. He done survived being thrown off a bridge, being blown off a bridge. He just survived a helicopter crash. The helicopter crash, when he finally lands the helicopter, is him and I think 3 other soldiers that get out of the helicopter, and they're still being attacked. Like, stuff is still being shot at them. One of the soldiers dies, and then the other 2 are kind of thrown to the ground the same way Rick is. This is when we see, coming from the back corner, that one soldier that's in the back corner, somebody pulls up, kills him. I saw the sword, and I was just like,
yeah, I did too.
I was in there like, oh my God, is she gonna see him? Because I really thought they were gonna end the show. They were gonna end the episode without them coming face to face. I thought they were gonna leave us on a cliffhanger like that. I was like, okay, let me just prepare to be pissed. And then she goes to the second one and she kills him. And like you said, Casey, you said that she took the helmet off the first one, and the second one, his helmet came off when he fell. I didn't remember that, and when I was doing my rewatch, I didn't get that far into the episode to see what it was. And then she comes up to Rick, and he turns around, and like you said, when she swings at him, he holds up that metal arm prosthetic of his, and that keeps him from getting hit. And I was like, something in him should have said sword. Wait. But again, he's fighting for his life. When she takes the helmet off and he looks at her, even though she's got headgear on, the look, it's like
on my boo.
I had goosebumps on my arms because you could tell he was really looking at her like
he thought he was you alive.
Yeah.
I think he really thought he was hallucinating. Like, she can't be here. Like
am I dreaming again? Did I pass out?
Right.
This better not be a fucking dream.
And she's just looking at him like, oh my God, I actually found him. After all this time, I actually found him. Mm-hmm. And he's just looking, and she just looking, and there's not a word exchanged. And then the episode goes off, and I was like, I thought these episodes were going to be an hour and a half. I thought we had more time.
It was an hour and a half. That shit flew past. I said, God damn it.
Wasn't
it? It was?
Yes.
No.
Oh, it was an hour and 10 minutes.
An hour and 58 seconds. That's the time. That's the timer. An hour and 58.
And that's not including the little preview at the end. So that took up some time. So
right.
It was less than that.
Not on demand. On demand, it said an hour and 20. Hour.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so maybe.
When the suicide, I'm sorry, when the suicide note comes on, because that threw me off. That was at 55 minutes.
Oh, the one where he told her, where he was telling her that this was the last letter that she would never read?
No. When they saw each other and then the screen goes to black and then it says, if you are someone you know is struggling, that's at 55 seconds. 55 minutes.
Okay.
So we were shorted.
Yeah. But
we wasn't, because it was a lot of information.
It was.
It was a lot of information in this episode.
You kind of you do want to wait because you want to get more and kind of savor it. So I'm okay with where they stopped it, but it was just kind of like.
I'm just glad they met. They reunion happened in the first episode.
Yeah,
right. That's to me, that's the best thing. Y'all didn't draw it out for it to be the last thing. Now, since they met in the very first episode, we can figure out what the fuck Michonne went through to get to where she is. We kind of saw what Rick went through, and then from
what
there,
they gonna do after
she went through, and then them getting the fuck back home. That should be it.
Or it's gonna be an episode of anger too, because it's like, okay, now I know you safe and you alive. Now I got to know why I had to come and find you, because she doesn't know why.
Yeah, but that's just gonna be.
He has to do some. Look,
I don't see that like, honey, out over a bunch of episodes.
He needs to do some explaining, but I'm glad too, because I thought it would be like episode 4. But even though it was a lot of information, we got filled in on everything that was happening with Rick, plus some things about CRM that we did not have any information about. I love the pacing, and I like how they did that. And again, giving us characters that we do care about. Not just thrown in there.
Right.
So
I have a feeling this is not the last time we're going to see Okafor. Like, we may see him in some flashbacks as Rick tells his story more to Michonne, because now he has an opportunity to actually tell her, instead of it just being through letters or journals or whatever. And for the fact that she is shooting down these planes, or she's with whoever is shooting down the planes, she knows enough about the CRM, or she knows a little bit about the CRM. So she probably has figured out, or she probably will figure out, that they use some kind of threatening mechanism to keep him there, especially when she sees he only has one arm. She's going to figure out, okay, this may have something to do with that. You know what I'm saying?
Or she going to need him to explain, because at this point, I need you to explain too.
Oh, absolutely.
I need you to explain. So I think that's a great episode right there. Some explaining.
And I don't know when we'll get that. I just know that everybody keeps talking about episode 4, because she wrote that episode and she said it is basically like a love letter to the Michonne fans. So I'm ready.
I can't wait.
I am. Ready. But this is right here. The great writing. We're back. We're back on track. This is more aligned. We can be different. But some of the stuff that we've seen in the previous shows was a little bit of laziness. Here, they really thought this through.
Well,
They
also
did.
Scott Gimple is the showrunner for this
Yeah,
show.
that's true. Even though Daryl Dixon is good too. I didn't say that. I'm guessing
Yeah.
I'm still on us finishing Fear
Yeah.
and Dead City can redeem itself.
Yeah, it can. It
Yeah.
can. But this one, like out the gate, strong.
Yeah. It did. Very
Like
strong.
they really, and I know a lot of it is just us having the anticipation for Rick and Michonne being back.
Yeah.
But I think it's more too because they feel an obligation to finish this story for the fans as well.
Absolutely.
So I feel like they're going to do this one right. And however they end it, I don't know any details. I know a few people who have had the screeners and who have seen the whole season, or at least seen most of the season. I've heard nothing but good things so far. I haven't gotten any spoilers, but I did hear that the last episode is gonna have the tears and it's gonna have the emotion, and that is one we are definitely watching together.
Right, because RJ, who's 17 at this point, will be meeting his dad.
Yeah. And I wonder if they're going to use Kaylee or if they're going to have another Judith.
No, they cannot have another. You cannot have no.
Judith will be married with children.
But no, Kaylee is at an age where she can put on some makeup and do her hair a little bit differently so that she can portray an older Judith. No, they can't bring anybody else in because granted, her version of Judith doesn't have a history with Rick because she, the character was so much younger when Rick disappeared. But that character has a history with Michonne, and I feel like it would be doing a disservice to everybody if you bring another actress in to do that reunion. It just, to me, it would not feel right. It would not feel authentic. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't want that. I would be very pissed. So, and I'm hoping Kaylee will be a part of it, because I think when I saw her at Ocala Comic Con last year, she was doing a question answer panel with Cassidy McClincy, and someone asked her about upcoming projects, and she was like, "Where there's one I'm really, really excited about, but I can't say anything about it." And I think she made a reference to working with people that she had worked with before. So I'm hoping she was talking about this show and not just any other project. I know she has the movie coming up with Ryan Reynolds, and I'm sure that is something exciting as well. But she knew what we was there to ask her.
Yeah, we weren't talking about Ryan
Reynolds.
Yeah, we weren't talking about him right now.
Her answer was referring to. So, but yeah,
well, word on the street, I heard, we're gonna see this is correct. We're gonna get someone that we have from the regular Walking Dead series come here. So I'm thinking it could be who everyone is looking for, who disappeared in the sand. Who could that be?
Wait, what?
I can't remember his name. That dude from Oceanside, when he went to go help Oceanside, he disappeared. Everybody want to know where he is.
Virgil.
Right now. Virgil, there you go.
The one who got taken upstairs during the storm and nobody's seen since.
Yeah. When someone talked about it, that was the first person they mentioned, and it made me think of you too, because I was like, oh, okay.
I want to know what happened to Virgil, but I don't know if I want to know that much that they bring him into this show. There are other characters that I
bring Morgan into this show.
They could bring Morgan.
Show the hell up.
Well, he should do that. That's a good crossover. Morgan should be on all the shows. So I need him to show up in New York.
No, Morgan has to show up to end where we started.
So Morgan could show up.
Morgan gonna show up. I'm willing to bet. Like
I would really like to see. I would really like to see Silas from the World Beyond show up in this show, even if it's just for a little bit.
How will he show up?
Because he's part of the CRM.
Yeah,
Remember,
he's
at the
part
end
of
of
the
World
CRM.
Beyond, he was here. He was in Philadelphia.
but most people didn't really watch The World Beyond. So okay, let's just throw that in.
I'm just saying because if you're gonna tie,
most people are gonna be looking for people from the main show.
Yeah.
No, and I understand that, but this show and the information that we've gotten from it, if you didn't watch World Beyond, Portland and Omaha mean nothing to you. Mm-mm. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like even though, yes, we're going to have Jadis in this, we already know she's going to be part of it. I feel like this is going to be the show that kind of ties all of it together.
Or Madison shows up and someone kills her.
You know what, bitch? No.
That's always a chance.
Even if they're going to kill her. No, they don't. No.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would want the rich. I rewatched when Rick died episode. Mm-hmm. And for me, it would most likely, I want him to reunite with Judith and RJ, but I also want him to reunite with Daryl. So I need that happen too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he can't do that because Daryl is in France.
I know, but I need it to happen. I need to see.
Oh, speaking of
that brotherly love.
I'm gonna throw this little tidbit in there. They did have a little preview of the Book of Carol at the beginning of this episode, and it is coming this summer. We don't have to wait another year. Daryl Dixon season 2.
Where was it at?
Summer.
I didn't see a preview.
You didn't?
I watched it on demand.
I didn't see one either.
I saw it. I mean, they had like Carol went to the actual
It's called the Book of Carol.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have I guess because I watched it off of Apple TV. I didn't see it at all.
Go look on AMC Plus. Yes.
Okay.
I watched it on AMC Plus. It didn't give me that.
And I'm on AMC Plus through Apple TV.
I watched it on demand.
That was one of the first previews that showed up when I hit play.
That's somebody got it on YouTube. Yep. No problem.
Right. But hey, yes, we're getting it this summer. So we don't have to wait 50 million years, which is great because yes. That means we're going to get steady AMC Walking Dead content this year. We'll have this show. And then Daryl Dixon season 2, and I'm pretty sure something will come out during the fall. Maybe Dead City, I don't know, but yeah. So Daryl Dixon season 2, Book of Carol, that is coming this summer. But okay, let's go back to this last scene real quick because everything on Michonne's face, I felt it. I felt it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like even in that last dream sequence that he had, when she was basically, again, I feel like she was speaking to him. She was like, look, we can make the world anything we want to. And she kept saying, I believe in you. And I think that was kind of what was sticking in his mind. Like, okay, I can't just give up. I have to do this because again, this is how I feel. Even if Rick had successfully killed himself or been killed by the CRM for trying to escape, like for the 50 millionth time or whatever, what's to stop the CRM from going to to Alexandria and finding his family anyway and killing them?
It's going to depend on if Okafor told them what he found. That's what that is, because he the only one who knows that information.
Jadis knows it.
Aside from Jadis, but I'm saying Jadis know where he come from. I don't see Jadis being, well, never mind, because she was a traitor.
I
don't see her rescuing him and then sending him back to kill her. Sending them back to kill everybody. Like his secret is safe with Jadis to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
To an extent, but I don't think Okafor shared it with nobody else. Otherwise, they would have eliminated any reason for him to escape.
Yeah,
They wouldn't.
But my thing is, if he turns around, if they put all this time and effort and training into him, and he would have done that anyway, they probably, who knows? We don't know most of these CRM people like we got to know Okafor in this episode. They could have gone to kill his family just out of spite, just because, whatever. I mean, they going through and eliminating whole cities. So what's one little town? What's one little subdivision community? Nothing. But I really did like this episode. I was so excited for it to come, and it did not disappoint. I have seen a couple of people online who have been like, meh, or
really?
I wasn't really feeling it. Yeah. But
it always is.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what they were expecting, because again, it was cut just right too. The pacing was just right, because I felt like I got a lot. Because at one point I had to pause to make a comment, and I realized, oh crap, I got 30 more minutes left. Like, wow, this is amazing. I already thought I'd been watching this for almost an hour.
Yeah.
So
the fact that Andy Lincoln has been gone from this character for years and you can't tell it.
Right. He came right back into it.
Like nothing.
Yeah. So I don't know what else you could.
I think his Southern accent is a little bit less pronounced. But if you've been gone away for that many years and you've been in a whole other region, that does tend to happen. So
you're gonna pick up on others, and he's not around other people who have the accent. So,
and according to Esteban, he didn't talk a lot for 2 years
anyway.
Right.
And Esteban was like, I'm gonna still talk every day.
Right.
You.
I got you out of your shell.
Now, if something happens to him, I'm gonna have a problem.
You already know something's gonna happen to Esteban.
I know, but I mean,
too happy.
He is. He got that AC.
I know. He got a girlfriend. He's been promoted again. So, like, life is going very well for Esteban. So I'm already expecting it. But I will say this, though. I was not expecting Okafor to be killed off.
No,
that really shocked me.
That did.
Especially because they showed him a lot in the promos.
It threw me. And then he exploded. See, that was the best part right there.
I was like, okay, damn.
Right.
You didn't just kill him. You made sure he was dead.
Right. But again, that does kind of bring the question up of who was firing, because like you only see Michonne, okay, at the end of the episode. We don't see any of the other people that she's been traveling with, any of the other people we've seen her interacting with in the promos. You only see her. So it's kind of like, was she working with someone else who was against the CRM and that's who provided the weapons or whatever? Or was it somebody from the CRM who reached out to these like rogue people and were like, hey, this is some, because again, Major General Bill did question about Okafor. So maybe he knew something was going on and he was like, yeah, let me go ahead and take care of this.
I'm assuming it's the people that they have showed that she's in the previews that she's been helping. And I believe it's that same weapon they showed in one of the previews that she shot off in the herd is one that they used towards that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Towards
I forgot about that
helicopter.
Okay.
And the only reason why, not because I'm knowledgeable about weapons, again, the person who I am related to by marriage, who I live with, knows the weapons from, his video games. He was naming like, oh, that's a such. So I'm like, oh, that's the weapon she's using, or the person that's by her was using. Okay. Because that's how they hit the helicopter and they start shooting at them on the ground.
Okay.
And that's where they start flying all over the place.
Okay. So that's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because I get the feeling, you know what? I don't know. I was going to say, I get the feeling that they're going to start the next episode and we're not going to have this reunion scene. We're going to have like Michonne's side of the story and then the reunion scene.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
But absolutely. they could change it up. They could start out and with the reunion scene and basically how are you here, or is this really you? Like, is this
I mean, because they know we're gonna have so many questions. So
yeah. Plus, we need to know where Michonne been all this time. So I need them to break down the timeline just like they did with Rick.
Oh, they will.
5 years or 2 years after Michonne left her children. Like, I need them to break down this timeline. And they're gonna have to make it make sense.
Yeah.
So, because other than that, if she's still getting signs that he's alive, then I can understand her continuing the search. But if you've been going all this time and there's no clues, the clues have dried up and the trail has gone cold.
What you doing at this point?
Why would you? Yeah. Like, at this point, you need to go back to your children, especially considering, and I know this was because it was time, Denai Guerrero said it was time for her to leave. She knew, blah, blah, blah. But you left your children in the middle of the Whisperer War, and you know how brutal those Whisperers are. So at some point, you should have been concerned enough to go back and check on your children, make sure everybody's okay. Because at this point, she doesn't know that Maggie returned.
Yeah, she don't know a lot.
She don't know a lot, and that's why this.
She doesn't know Titi Rosita is dead.
Yeah, we can use this as the parenting panel here about good parenting and bad parenting. I love these characters, but you just leave your children. And I understand you got to go find their dad. I get it. Do the same thing, but it don't mean it's right, especially when the Whisperers, because they were brutal. Alpha was brutal.
I mean, she put 10 of your folks' heads on spikes.
Yeah, that would be hard too. It's not like you can call home and say everything all right.
Right. And one of them was a teenager. So
she don't care about kids. Alpha, so she was gonna kill anybody. So
yeah. Okay. Did we miss anything about this episode? I think we hit all the high points.
Yep.
I think.
I can't wait till next week.
Yeah, I'm just so glad it's back. Like, I didn't even know they were releasing it early. I thought it was going to release right at 9:00. Like, I think Daryl Dixon did the same thing. I don't remember if they released that early, but I woke up early this afternoon because my sleep schedule, of course, since I've been sick, my sleep schedule was off. So I think it was like 12:30 when I finally woke up, and I just happened to go on to Facebook, and one of my friends posted, you know how you check into what you're watching? She checked into The Ones Who Live, and I was like, it's 12:30. Why is she? I was like, it can't be out yet. Then I went through, as I was going through my feed, I saw like 2 other people post, and then I was like, hold up, let me go check. So I came in here, I turned on the TV, and I went to AMC Plus, and it was on, and I was like, okay, am I going to watch it now or am I going to watch it later? Because I had to take my mom to the grocery store today. And I was like, no, I'm going to watch it now, then take her to the grocery store, and then I'm going to come back and watch it again. So that's what I ended up doing. But like I said, I didn't get to finish the second watch because I knew we had to record and we needed to be off by a certain time, which we've already gone past that time. But, I was like, I got to see it. So I know I'm probably about to watch it again because I'm sure there's some other things that I wanted to talk about that I probably missed, or there were some points that I know I wanted to make. And of course, because I've only seen it 1.5 times, I don't have my thoughts together. Next week I will, because I actually did start taking notes for this particular episode. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have my thoughts together. So next week, now that we're in the first episode and I've gotten the anticipation out of my system, now I can sit here and watch it and focus and be like, okay, so ... Yep. But I'm so glad the show is back.
Yes.
So glad. Anyway, you guys have any final thoughts on the first episode of The Ones Who Live?
I'm glad my boo back.
I knew that was coming out your mouth. That's all you care about. And I don't blame you. I was like, I was like, I know Casey is smiling from ear to ear because, especially considering this episode was about what Rick has been up to for the 6 years. Again, I wasn't expecting those dream sequences, so that was very welcome because you got to see these two characters in a different light. You know, like you said, Michelle, Rick wasn't that smooth.
He wasn't.
Uh-uh.
And it really made me think of that episode, which was the first one. He talking to Shane. And he was like, yeah, I don't talk much. That's a problem with me. I'm not saying much.
That's what Laura said. Speak. Yeah. Matter of fact, I just rewatched that episode a few days ago. So to try to prepare for this one. But yep, okay. So Rick and Sean are back. We are happy they are back. They did a great job with this first episode. I can't wait to see what the next episode brings, and I can't wait to see more of this reunion that they gave us in the first episode. Thank you so much for doing that and not making us wonder for the next few episodes on what that's going to look like. Now we know, and we can just wait to follow the rest of the story. So that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social medias as Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.